Hey there, muscle maniacs and golden era aficionados. Buckle up, because today we're diving into a bodybuilding time capsule. We're talking about the legendary 1993 Mr. Olympia, the showdown between the mass monster Dorian Yates and the epitome of aesthetics, Shawn Ray. Stick around because this is not just a battle of biceps, it's a war for the very soul of bodybuilding. The Mr. Olympia competition was founded in 1965 by Joe Weider, the man often credited as the father of bodybuilding. It was conceived as a platform for the world's best bodybuilders to showcase their physiques, pushing the boundaries of human aesthetics and strength. The competition quickly became the ultimate goal for professional bodybuilders, eclipsing other prestigious titles such as Mr. America and Mr. Universe in terms of prestige. Through the 1980s and early 1990s, bodybuilding underwent a significant transformation. The sport became increasingly professionalized, with athletes dedicating their lives to the pursuit of the Mr. Olympia title. Nutrition, training methods, and supplementation reached new heights, facilitating the growth of athletes to sizes previously thought impossible. This period also marked a debate that was quietly gaining momentum: mass versus aesthetics. While the early years of the competition focused on classical physiques and proportionality, the advent of bodybuilders like Lee Haney and later Dorian Yates seemed to signal a shift towards rewarding sheer size. Nonetheless, aesthetics were not altogether abandoned, as champions like Frank Zane in the late 70s and Shawn Ray in the early 90s continued to vie for top spots with physiques that emphasized symmetry and proportion over bulk. As bodybuilding approached the 1993 Mr. Olympia, the tension between mass and aesthetics reached a fever pitch. Dorian Yates, the reigning champion, embodied the new generation of mass monsters, while challengers like Shawn Ray offered an alternative, echoing the aesthetics of earlier eras. This dynamic set the stage for one of the most fiercely contested and philosophically significant competitions in the history of the sport. Shawn Ray, often referred to as the Giant Killer, despite his more modest size compared to other competitors, had a distinct training philosophy centered around aesthetics and balance. Unlike mass-oriented competitors, Ray focused on symmetry, proportionality, and the overall visual impact of his physique. His training methodology often included a mix of compound and isolation movements, aimed at maximizing muscular development while maintaining a balanced look. Shawn also stressed the importance of cardio and flexibility training, both of which contributed to his lean, well-proportioned physique. Shawn Ray had already made a name for himself in professional bodybuilding by the time the 1993 Mr. Olympia came around. He turned pro after winning the NPC, National Physique Committee, Nationals in 1987. Although he hadn't yet clinched the Mr. Olympia title, Ray had been a consistent top 5 finisher in the years leading up to 1993, including a runner-up position in 1992. His other significant achievements included victories at events like the Pro Ironman and the Arnold Classic, solidifying his status as a top-tier competitor. His career was a testament to the viability of aesthetics and proportionality in a sport that was increasingly favoring mass. In the lead-up to the 1993 Mr. Olympia, the rivalry between Dorian Yates and Shawn Ray was palpable. Bodybuilding magazines and early internet forums were abuzz with speculation, comparisons, and predictions. Yates, the reigning champion, was generally seen as the epitome of the mass monster era, while Ray represented the aesthetic camp. In interviews and press conferences, both athletes made it clear that they were each other's primary competition. Yates often emphasized his superior size and muscle density as indicators of his impending victory, dismissing concerns about aesthetics as old school. Ray, on the other hand, challenged this viewpoint by highlighting the artistic and visual aspects of bodybuilding, often stating that the competition was about creating the perfect balanced physique rather than merely accumulating mass. Both athletes dealt with injuries leading up to the competition. Yates had been nursing a minor bicep injury, which many speculated could affect his performance. Ray, too, had had his share of niggles but managed to stay relatively healthy. The controversy surrounding the competition mostly revolved around the judging criteria. While the bodybuilding community was split over whether mass or aesthetics should be the primary focus, official guidelines remained vague, fueling debates and intensifying the rivalry between Yates and Ray. The audience seemed split, with vocal supporters in both camps. Cheers for Yates' overwhelming mass were equaled by applause for Ray's classical lines and proportions. Each competitor's posing routine was met with roars of approval, making it clear that the bodybuilding community was deeply divided on what they considered the ideal physique. Judges' comments, while not publicly disclosed in detail, hinted at a similar divide. Some judges were noticeably impressed by Yates' mass and density, pointing to his muscular back and legs as standout features. Others seemed to favor Ray's balanced presentation, praising his symmetry and the artistic qualities of his physique. When the dust settled and the scores were tallied, Dorian Yates was announced as the winner, retaining his Mr. Olympia title. Shawn Ray, despite his breathtaking aesthetics and meticulously crafted routine, had to settle for a respectable but distant second place. The victory of Yates signaled a continuing trend in bodybuilding towards rewarding mass and muscular density. The media echoed this division. Numerous articles and editorials dissected the competition, each taking sides on the mass versus aesthetics debate. Sports magazines featured in-depth interviews and analyses, with some suggesting that the 1993 Mr. Olympia would be a turning point for the sport. The 1993 event had a lasting impact on the Mr. Olympia competition and bodybuilding in general. For a period, mass and density continued to dominate, evidenced by Yates' continued reign and later by competitors like Ronnie Coleman. However, the controversy and conversation around the 1993 event also opened doors for more nuanced judging criteria, gradually allowing for competitors like Dexter Jackson and Phil Heath, who combined elements of both mass and aesthetics. The battle between mass and aesthetics didn't end in 1993. If anything, it intensified. The bodybuilding community remains split on the issue. While the era of the mass monsters seemed to peak in the early 2000s, a new wave of competitors and fans began to call for a return to the aesthetics and proportions of the golden era. The introduction of new divisions, such as the classic physique, serves as evidence that the debate is far from settled. As for Yates and Ray, the 1993 competition was a defining moment in both their careers. Dorian Yates continued to dominate, winning the Mr. Olympia title until 1997. However, injuries eventually caught up with him, and he retired shortly after his last win. Shawn Ray continued to be a top-tier competitor, but never managed to clinch the Mr. Olympia title. He maintained a successful career, diversifying into commentary, writing, and bodybuilding advocacy. His voice remains influential in the ongoing discourse about the sport's values and directions. The 1993 Mr. Olympia was not just another competition. It was a seminal event that crystallized the diverging philosophies within bodybuilding. Its impact reverberated through the careers of Dorian Yates and Shawn Ray, through the sport's judging criteria, and through the hearts and minds of bodybuilding enthusiasts worldwide. It asked a question that still begs an answer: what is the perfect physique? And it left us pondering whether the sport will ever settle on a single, unified vision of ideal human aesthetics. So what's it gonna be, folks? Are you Team Mass Monster or Team Golden Era? Or maybe you're somewhere in between, like a perfectly balanced dumbbell? Drop your allegiances in the comments below, and let's keep this timeless debate pumping.